entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new and it could get combative episode of Thrones Time. It's Matt, it's Nick, and Keith. Yes, we survived the Battle of Winterfell. Guess what? Just like pretty much everyone else. This episode, I'm kind of describing it as the Last Jedi of the Game of Thrones franchise. Because it definitely has polarized fans in terms of their reaction to what was titled The Long Night. So this was the Battle of Winterfell, boys. I mean, we've heard about this for months. Some may even say years. I remember it probably was well over a year ago. We were talking about the leaked burning Winterfell set, and now we kind of saw that all come to fruition in episode 3 of the show's 8th season. So, fellas, this is kind of how we do things. We kind of just go around real quickly and give our general feel of an episode before we get into the top moments that I kind of rattled off. And there was a bunch of them. As to be expected from an episode that was the longest of the season so far. I mean, I think it was about 1 hour and 22 minutes of pure footage. I'm not talking like previews or trailers or any of that nonsense. So it was meaty. Therefore, it had a lot of moments. But some of the moments we were looking for, I don't think happened. And some of the moments that did happen, I don't think we saw them coming from a mile away. So some can interpret that as awesome. Some are rubbed a little wrong way. I'm, like I said, kind of in the middle. But as we do, let's go ahead and just start with Keith's general reaction to The Long Night. Go ahead, Keith.
You saw something? You actually,
Yeah.
you're telling me you actually saw something in that episode?
Only when there was a lot of dragon fire in the trenches lit up did I get glimpses of it. I mean, when the sky was finally burning orange-red, or just orange, if we want to call it that, you finally could see a little more of the action, especially taking place in the inner workings of Winterfell. But holy shit, dude, you've hit something that I've seen everywhere. And it's been a complaint of ours, of other people that watch Game of Thrones, but this shit where they either do the color grading in a dungeon, or as if we're all going to be watching it at a movie theater, or if they've just so hung up on trying to make the lighting look as natural as possible. But Keith's right. You could not see a damn thing for probably the first half of the episode when the action was taking place outside the walls of Winterfell before things got lit up by fire.
And honestly, like that's my single biggest complaint about the episode. And I have a lot of mixed feelings about it, because overall I thought it was a really poor episode, punctuated by a few cool moments. But it was so poorly lit that I felt so bad for all the cast and crew who, endured what was by all reports like one of the most grueling shoots ever.
Well, I watched the 40-minute game revealed. It was a 55-night consecutive shoot. They would start at 6 p.m. and stop around 6 a.m. 55 days in a row.
God,
Rain,
that sounds
mud,
awful.
Snow, you name it, like 19-degree weather.
Yeah, that sounds atrocious, and to have it all fucked up by the lighting and effects team to the point where you just couldn't see anything. The two moments that, as far as that's concerned, that really got me were especially when Jon and Dany were flying around on Drogon and Rhaegal, and they were flying through the Night King's magic storm.
Yeah.
And it had the potential to be the single coolest episode of any fantasy any show ever. And it was just so muddy that I found myself tuning out. And that's never something that I ever thought that I was ever going to say about this huge battle in probably my favorite show.
That's fair. I mean, we'll get into the moments once we get to that point.
Totally.
But I mean, I think Keith brings up some very key critiques, ones that I've seen. I mean, the lighting that's hard to kind of just wash away. I mean, I know some people are like, "Hey, it was a great episode," and you know what? It may be. I mean, again, this is all subjective stuff here, people. You're not right or wrong if you don't like it or you loved it. It's the same thing with the TLJ people. I mean, who cares if people hated it? Who cares if people loved it? Let's just all get along. It's fucking fake stuff, all right? With that being said, that the lighting was atrocious, and we've said this throughout Game of Thrones history. And The Walking Dead's another show that is a big culprit with this bullshit, and it's like, come on, people. I mean, there's a fine line between art and execution, and at some point, I think the audience would rather see what's going on than feel like they're actually on the battlefield, seeing it in real time where they can't see shit. So,
right,
I'm with you there.
And it's a fantasy, right? You know, it doesn't
Yes.
have to be as realistic. Like, yeah, Game of Thrones is more of the sort of gritty realist fantasy, as far as gritty realist is, you know, applicable to fantasy. But I don't know. I think some of it was just like, you know, Miguel Sapochnik did, what did he do? He did Hard Home and Battle of the
all
Bastards.
the big battles. He did Bob too, as they call it. I'm in on the lingo now. It's called Bob. Yeah, Battle
Bob.
of the
Okay.
Bastards.
All right. I'm down with that. And I can't remember, did he do Watchers on the Wall and Blackwater?
I don't know. I mean, I know he's the go-to for the big ground battle type of stuff, so I don't know about the other ones. But
Yeah. It's just like, in comparison, especially I think the most apt comparison would be Watchers on the Wall, because that does take place at night as well, and it's, you know, a massive battle, but we don't have the same issues that we did with The Long Night.
And it's crazy because if you watch the game revealed, which I highly recommend to any Game of Thrones fan, I mean, they're dropping them pretty much 12 hours after the main episode launches. You get one of these things. And this one, 40 minutes in length. It's very detailed, in-depth, covers all the main parts of the episode. But you can see it. They had massive fucking lights all around. I mean, it's not like they were shooting in the dark and just relying on the special effects and the fire and the pyro. I mean, they had huge cranes with these massive pallets of lights.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yet they must color correct in post. And I read, I'm not taking this, I read this somewhere else, but they're theorizing that they're essentially editing and doing the color correction as if it were a movie. So they're in a dark room, thinking it's going to be projected on a bright screen in a darkly lit theater, and that's just not how a lot of our homes are set up. I mean,
Sure.
a lot of us have badass TVs, but I'm telling you right now, having a 4K with HDR and the deep dark blacks, I couldn't see dick shit at certain times. I mean, I just saw things floating around on the screen, getting all jittery, and you know, like I said, you'd hear like a clank, clank, slash, stab, lots of Foley, but couldn't see much. All right, before we just, you know, have a shit party all over this episode, let's hear what our friend Nick had to say about the episode. Nick?
Guys,
Here he is.
what has Melisandre said all along? The night is dark and full of terrors.
Perfect.
All right.
Come on.
Fair enough.
And I think I told both of you this, or one of you, but I did about 20 minutes into the episode, I did change the settings on my TV. It's got a vivid setting, so I just set it to that, and that helped with the darkness.
You didn't tweak brightness at all? I mean, you just did like the standard.
I thought about doing that, but I went to vivid. I had all the lights turned off anyway, so my apartment was pitch black except for the TV.
Right.
Because if you're watching this episode with the lights on, then you're doing it wrong.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I was pitch black too. I could not
Yeah.
get a damn clear picture.
Yeah, no, I get people's complaints with that, but to me that just added to the threat, especially in the beginning where it's all quiet and we
Yeah, I'll
look
give you
over
that,
the
for
armies of Winterfell, and you hear the wind, you hear the White Walkers out there and the Whites, and you just don't see them coming until it's too late, basically. So yeah, it definitely could have been a little bit lighter for the most part, but I think it added to the suspense, because it really took into part too what the characters were supposed to see. So we want to be able to see everything, but they're fighting at night. Things are flying around. There's fire one way, ice and snow another way. You know, their vision gets blurred depending on where they're looking, who they're hitting, that sort of thing. So I kind of understood going a little bit darker with the filming and the editing, but you know, I get people's
Yeah, I mean,
complaints with
in
that.
the end, we're watching it.
Yeah,
Like,
but
we're the audience. So I mean, I appreciate the realism and the artistic nature of the look, but it's like, come on, we're the one you are making the show for us to see it,
yeah,
not listen to parts. But
yeah.
so overall, I mean,
Overall, I definitely liked it.
Okay.
I understand some of the issues, you know, Keith and some others that I've talked to have as
I
far
can't
as
wait to read your guys' reply all this week. This could get ugly, I think. They'll just be like, I'm done. I'm breaking up with you.
Come on, man. We only have 3 episodes left. We could do it.
Yeah.
No, I liked it. It was definitely long. There wasn't really any point where I felt like it was losing me, which I was really concerned about with a battle scene as long as this one was, because it happens to me in you know, it happened to me in Daredevil or in Luke Cage, like some of those shows. As great as some of the choreography is, I'm just like, oh, he's beating up this guy. I'm gonna check Twitter real quick. But I was so invested in this show more so than I am in those other ones that I wanted to see what I could. And because the lighting was on the darker side, I found myself trying to pay closer attention to what was going on. So overall, I felt, you know, I really enjoyed the show. I don't know where it ranks as far as, you know, my favorite episodes. But for what we were expecting, you know, I like most people was surprised that there wasn't more death, especially with the large setup that we had last week, which, you know, I'm sure we'll get into. But as a whole, I enjoyed the episode. Yeah, I don't really have any major complaints. You know, maybe a few nitpicky things here and there.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of you guys. I found it to be extremely intense to watch. I mean, I don't know. I was riveted from start to finish, whether I could see what the fuck was going on or not. As Nick hinted, maybe that's why I was so tense. But from opening to end, I had hardcore restless leg syndrome. I mean, just flopping around. My wife had to punch me a few times, just like, you know, calm down, dude. So I definitely was feeling it. I felt the emotion of what the characters were going through. I was feeling that, like, oh shit, when's it coming? What's going to happen? Who's going down, this, that, and the other thing. But when the dust settled, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of like, you know, what the hell was that? I mean, we were expecting, and we're not going to get into it because I don't know if you guys have seen it, but what Avengers Endgame did to me emotionally, that's kind of what I was expecting, something on that level. And I don't know if it's because Endgame tapped me of all my geek emotion reserves this past weekend, and I just didn't have them with me for Game of Thrones. But outside of just feeling super tense and on edge, not once did I feel emotional in terms of depressed or sad. And I was expecting a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you take a look at the characters in the episode last week where they're sitting around the fire. Brienne gets knighted. Grey Worm and Missandei are making retirement plans at the beach, and they're all still alive.
Yeah.
You know, those moments in last week's episode were like the kiss of death. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, they're gonna die. They're gonna die. Nice knowing you, Brienne. And you know, who'd we lose? We lost Theon, Jorah,
Ed.
Lyanna, Ed. I mean, none of
it.
them are major players considering.
Oh, right. And Lady Mormont, that they said inside the episode, she was only ever intended for that one scene where Jon and Sansa were going around begging the Northern Lords. But because of Bella Ramsey's performance, they kept bringing her back. And then they're like, yo, we gotta give her that death. And we'll get there because it's definitely a top moment. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was a weird episode, but it's one of those things. And again, why I keep bringing up TLJ. It's one of those deals where I think fans kind of wrote the episode or moments in their head, And when they didn't happen, I think that is what has led to some of the backlash, some of the, oh, this is fucking stupid, blah, blah, blah. I liked I mean, I thought the Arya thing was very unique. I didn't see that coming from a mile away. What I did, I'm like, wow, the whole Night King thing is just gone. And that's what has just kind of sat with me. And it's like, well, maybe we were all looking way too far into this. I mean, if you just take everything for face value, the Night King's narrative was pretty much spelled out for us. We knew who he was. We knew why he was created and why he hated people. And there you go. And that's literally just what he was. And I don't think a lot of people were ready to hear that. I wasn't quite at first. I wasn't thinking he was going to be a Targaryen or something crazy, but I did not think that this plot line would be over halfway through season 6.
Yeah,
like,
and I mean,
literally just over.
You think about it too. What has this show done to us as viewers? Season 1, we're cheering for Ned. He gets his head cut off. Then we move on to Robb. He dies. Then we move on to like Catelyn dies too. Like the whole Red Wedding thing. It just prepares us for the worst. So I know in my head I was expecting 6 or 7 characters that we've followed to die. And that didn't happen. And in a weird way, in a sick way, I was disappointed it didn't happen.
Yeah,
and I think that's a lot of the sentiment that
show.
people have.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Just gonna say, I called only like 3 or 4 characters dying.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, too bad we didn't bet any money, but I think Keith was definitely, he would have won that over under. But we went high. Nick was up there around 7. I think I was 5.
I said like 6 or 7.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of fucking people died, just no one we cared about.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Nameless peons.
Let's just kind of get into the top moments, and there's plenty of them, and I'm sure more discussion, more hate, more love will come pouring out of it. So, first one, guys, I loved, and this is one of the moments we could still see, Keith, I'll argue that at least, was the beginning where it just kind of starts real slow, and the camera moves with Sam. Then it bounces to another main character. I just liked how they kind of set up and showed us where all the power players were at, leading into setting up the tension of the episode. And like I said in the article here, once that tension was established, for me at least, it didn't really resolve itself until Arya's big leap there at the end. So I really appreciated how the episode kicked off and how that opening sequence of shots laid out where the key players were at, how nervous they looked because they are all preparing essentially for their inevitable death.
Sure. That those opening moments were really well done. And I like the fact that there's basically no dialogue for. I mean, no. I mean, you hear people talking, but there's basically no like dialogue for. 5-10 minutes almost.
Oh,
I mean, it's like a lengthy
arrives, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But and I thought that was really cool. That I enjoyed a lot. And yeah, I guess you could say that my main beef with the episode doesn't come until basically after Melisandre and the Dothraki, which we're gonna get into, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that was funny. That was like the coolest thing I've ever seen, and then the dumbest thing I've ever seen, all in about 5 seconds.
Right.
So the next moment, Keith kind of brought it up, and I really wasn't expecting her to show up. I wasn't really even thinking about her, but it does make sense that Melisandre showed up, and her moment when she arrived. I mean, of course, everyone's like, "Oh shit, is this a White Walker?" Matt's guy's like, "Oh, we got a horse coming in." And then it's the lady in red, the Red Witch, and her first act is she lights all the Dothraki, I believe they're called Araks or something, on fire. So you have 10,000 nut jobs on horses now with flaming bent swords, and you're going, all right, hey, the good guys, that just kind of upped their power a little bit.
They got buffed so hard.
Yeah, it's like the good guys might have a chance now. And then moving right into my third top moment, the fire swords, you see him take off, which, by the way, that shot where it was from Dany and Jon's perspective watching the charge with the lit swords, that was fucking
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was fucking cool.
But the charge itself, you're all like, yeah, and then literally they just run into death, and they're dead in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I thought it was cool in the inside the episode afterwards. DB Weiss touched on it. He basically said, we wanted the characters to feel like maybe this is all going to work out, maybe things are
Right.
going to go okay when Melisandre comes and lights
Right.
up their swords,
Yeah.
and then 30 seconds later, you just see every single one extinguish, and you see a handful of them, including Jorah, come running back, and Jorah's looking at Tormund, kind of shaking his head like this isn't good. But I just think it's interesting too. The Dothraki, all the time that Dany has spent with them, all the time we've spent with them, they came over the sea on the wooden, the wooden horses as they called it, and their purpose was to be the first ones to die.
Yeah, they're extinct,
Like,
by the way, now
they're-
too. I mean, they're literally the Dothraki people are pretty much gone.
Yeah, and I mean, and the purpose of lighting up the Aurochs were basically so when we see them charge, we see them immediately flame out.
Yeah.
And the hope that was there 20 seconds ago is snuffed out like those flames.
It really was. I mean, I was cheering, and then you're just like, oh shit, ooh.
I don't get
like,
that battle tactic either.
Yeah, oops.
Of just having them by themselves rush. I mean, I know they're obviously the greatest warriors in all the land on horseback, but they had to know the numbers were against them, right? I mean, it's not exactly a secret as to how large that army is.
It did seem a little foolish, but hey,
Yeah.
that's what war is, right?
One thing
War's
we've learned
nothing
about
but-
Jon is he's not the greatest war tactician.
Well, I mean, once that charge started and Dany just watched half her people get waylaid, I mean, the plan blew up right there because she's like, fuck it,
Right.
I'm out. I'm just going to start doing stuff, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, the battle really was a mess within the first 2 minutes, maybe. It was pretty much fucked for the living. And I remember I was just sitting there going, like, how the hell they get out of this? How the hell they get out of this? And, we'll get there, but... Like, there was some tension there, I'll give you that. So, obviously, next moment here, once Dany sees her Dothraki horde just get waylaid, I mean, just destroyed. We didn't get to see the Screamers do anything impressive. I mean, I think we only got one fight, and that was the battle, the loot train battle, but they're gone. They are gone. They will not make the next battle, which Dany is calling the last battle, or so she thinks. So, anyways... Speaking of those two, like I said, Dany pieces off on the dragon. Jon has to go chase her. I'm just lumping up all the little dragon scenes, the little parts we could see, Keith, because I'm with you. Really, when they were what should have been the most awesome part, when it was the three of them, meaning Jon, Dany, and the Night King, kind of dogfighting, you really couldn't see dick. I mean, you could not tell that Rhaegal was essentially ripping Viserion's face open and all this other shit, but... I'm still throwing any moment with Jon, Dany, or the Night King on dragons. Those were all fantastic. If you could see it.
Pass.
Okay. Excellent.
I have nothing. I have nothing good to say about those.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you didn't see any, then they
Yeah.
don't exist. It's
Well,
just
and
like-
and it was just like, was Dany, was she getting burned by the night? Like, was she getting hit by the Night King's dragon fire? What? Like, I don't know.
that's what I mean. That duel should have been intense. I mean, I guess what you also got to fold in just when they're doing their strafe runs like badasses. That I'm talking
those
about.
were
that
cool.
stuff
Those were
too.
really cool.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. Because I'm with you. Some of the cooler dragon on dragon action, you couldn't see dick shit. I mean, Nick, I don't know if you got clear looks at the battles. They did look like they would have been awesome if you could have seen it in detail.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple cool moments. I mean, initially too, when Jon goes into the storm and Dany follows him, and they go basically above the clouds, and you just see like the stars and the
That was
moon and
fucking hot.
how peaceful it is up there. Like, it just reminded me of the Matrix, when they go above the clouds and then immediately fall back down, and it's just there's another level to everything there. I mean, there were some cool moments in the dragon fight. Rhaegal had Viserion's head in his jaws at one point. Viserion was clawing at Rhaegal's stomach. What I didn't get was neither Rhaegal or Drogon shot any fire at Viserion.
No.
That made
I'm guessing-
zero sense to me.
Do you think it was like, I mean, clearly John and Danny don't have a fire button, but do you think they sense that if we shoot, we're going to hit the other good guy?
Well, I mean, I guess it could be that, but you got to try, don't you? I mean, at that
Yeah.
point,
Danny
hasn't
can't burn
tried going
anyways,
after the
right?
Night King, so
I mean, Danny's immune to fire.
right.
She's immune to fire.
Yeah, we don't know.
Do we know if she's immune to dragon fire?
True.
Right.
Is she Night King status?
Yeah, we know the Night King now is immune to pretty much any fire, so that's been checked off. You knew that moment was coming too, but
Well, that's
totally.
also a throwback to Last Jedi too. That's the first thing I thought of, and when Luke's getting pelted by the blasters by Kylo Ren, and he's just standing there.
I'm proud of you, Nick. I'm proud of you. Look at you even.
You see what you did to me?
Even you folding in some Star Wars now in Game of Thrones talk. Got a boy.
But you're right though. As soon as that happened, you were like, oh, that's not going to do anything.
I mean, I even knew they were going to make that moment, and they're going to make it so clear, like for the idiots out there, like, oh look, she got him. Woo! It's like, well, it's not even close to the end. And by the way, do you not remember him walking through fire? You pretty much can't kill this fucker unless you do what you got to do, which we learned. And you wouldn't even known this if you just watched the show. You didn't watch inside the episode, but she had to get him right where she got him.
Mm-hmm.
Like they made a point to say that she had to stab him with Valerian right where the children created him.
Now I think it's great that she stabbed him there. I feel like it would have worked wherever she got him.
I'm just telling you what the two creators said. I mean, they went out of their way to say inside the episode, like, she had to stab him there.
I thought they meant she had to, as in it was poetic to the story.
No, they said she stabbed him right where the children stabbed him with the dragon glass. And if you really want to get nuts, if you watch the game revealed, DB, I believe, the one without the white hair, is that DB?
Yeah, he's got the buzz.
He hints at that dagger was potentially the same dagger the children used, the hilt at least.
With the dragon glass.
So think about essentially the same dagger created the Night King, also took him out, is what he was implying. So I'll leave that up to Nick because he's kind of our resident. I mean, he'll go encyclopedia this shit. But if you watch the game revealed, I mean, there's a very specific scene, and they even show images from books or whatever, some of the history that Martin's cooked up. But apparently that dagger may or may not have been the hilt, may or may not have been the original dragon glass thing that they used to create him. So just a little lore for you people out there. All right, next moment. It's just only on here because it's a named character that died, and not a huge name, but Dolores Ed, aka the Lord Commander, the last Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He went down, kind of saving Sam, because that's what Sam does. He just gets in the way and tries his best, but he's usually just getting other people killed. So
yeah, and he didn't even burn Ed after Ed died, just like Ed wanted him to.
Fucker, what a dick, because Ed did ask him. He did ask, please burn me.
Yeah.
We shall never see his like again.
So
and now his watch is ended.
Here we got Melisandre again. So out of nowhere, Melisandre really just starts flexing her magical abilities. I mean, it's like, why wasn't she doing this when Stannis was her champion? Maybe it really did take being in the presence of who even knows if fucking Azor Ahai means anything anymore. But either way, the Red Witch was finally flexing in this episode. Not only did she light all those swords on fire, but after Danny couldn't see shit and Davos couldn't get the trench signal seen by the fire starter, a.k.a. Danny and John, Melisandre runs out and kind of, does her little himina with her hands on it. And right at the last moment, she lights the trench on fire. So, cool scene. Another one, Keith, you probably could actually see something if you were still awake at this point. Because you did get that nice blast of light there.
Really tight close-ups of her face.
Yeah, there you go. So you can at least see that part. But top moment, I mean, narratively, no, it was cool to see. Again, this lady who I think some people, especially in the North, kind of hated, mistrusted, this, that, and the other thing. She's finally kind of paying off on a lot of her bullshit that she put people through. Yeah. I don't know if she was kind of atoning for all of her bullshit, but she kind of let it all loose, let it all hang out there, and she definitely saved the day, or at least prevented things from getting shittier quicker.
Yeah. I'm a sucker
Yeah.
for like a top-notch pyromancer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was cool that they brought their mage out.
Yeah, and she was always nice to look at too. Big fan of the red priestess.
I mean,
All right,
until she
so
took that necklace off.
yeah, man, I still we'll talk about that. It's like, was she just done, or was she executing herself for John and Davos? I don't know, whatever. But here we go. We finally, guys, and we get a couple moments with this one, but we finally got to see Arya at work when she gave that bow staff clinic. The first time it kind of zeroed in on her and her action sequence, and she was kicking the shit out of people with that bow that Gendry made her. It was nice to finally see, like, yes, this is the girl that trained to be the world's deadliest assassin.
Yeah, I did like that a lot. Right before that, though, when the walls of Winterfell were about to be breached, I liked when she told Sansa to head down to the crypt, gives her a dragon glass knife, and Sansa's like, I don't know what to do with this. And Arya goes, stick him with a pointy end.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
sends
that
her
was
on
a
her
nice
way.
call
That
back
was,
to...
yeah, I like that. And yeah, seeing Arya, we saw a bit of it in the trailers leading up to this season of her twirling the bow staff, the spear around. So that was great to see. There was a moment, I don't know if you caught it or if it was too dark, where she actually pulls it apart and uses it as two weapons instead of one, which we kind of speculated on going into this episode here. So I'm just bummed that she lost it kind of early, it seemed, but it ended up working out for her.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you can... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say her set of sequences were probably my favorite parts of the episode. They were really fucking cool, and we got like different, sort of different moments. Like we started with Arya, the ultimate badass, and then after she gets smacked in the face, or like has her head smashed into the wall or whatever, and loses the dragon glass staff. Then it reminded me a lot of her her series of encounters with the waif in, what was it, season 5, 6?
Yeah, she was off her
yeah.
game for sure. She was
Yeah,
a little fearful.
And that I thought was really, really cool. And just like everything from that point forth with her, I thought was that was a high point of the episode for me.
No, I agree. All Arya's stuff was great. Clearly, I mean, obviously the money shot there. Whether you agree with who did it or not, I mean, it looked cool. And as Keith said, it kind of completed her arc, which I agree was definitely one of the better ones throughout this episode. Moving on, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, going back to the Arya thing real quick. In the inside the episode afterwards, they did talk about how they kind of turned the clock back with her. How long has it been since we've seen her run away in fear of something?
Right.
And that happened here. After she hits her head, she's back home in
Well, yeah, they even
Winterfell.
brought that up. I mean, they almost
Yeah.
imply that she got concussed, so she lost a lot of her abilities.
Yeah, and it was cool to see that too, because I really loved and enjoyed that scene in the library where it's basically becomes a horror movie for a couple minutes.
Yo, yes.
And she's sneaking around. I'm like, because you would think Assassin Arya would just go right after him and just kill them all right away, but she's sneaking around. She's crawling under stuff. She's throwing a book in another direction to cause a distraction. I just really like that they did that, and that I thought was done really well.
Yeah, she's been playing a lot of Sekiro. Got it.
You
Sorry,
masochistic gamers.
sorry, that was me. Yeah, no, her like stealth through the library. That was probably like if I had to pick a favorite like single scene, that would probably be it for me. Because yeah, Nick, like you said, it turns into a legit horror movie, like a zombie film. She's stealthing her way through, likely concussed, if not very, very close, and essentially not necessarily weaponless, because I think she still had
has a dagger.
like half of it. Oh, it was a dagger. Okay.
Or well, yeah, it was
couldn't
something,
fucking tell.
because she turns the corner and gets the white in the throat, right?
Yeah, because I thought that was just like one half of the bow
it
staff
could
or
have been,
whatever that she
yeah.
had. Either way, she's still able to kill them. Yeah. Oh God, it was so cool.
It's funny you guys bring up that it felt like a horror movie, because if you watch the game revealed, the director actually says, Act 1 was meant to be this type of a movie. Act 2, a horror movie. Act 3, an action movie. I forget how he described Act 1, but, so they at least paid off on that, because clearly you two guys felt that horror moment, and that's really the scene in particular. He's like, this is where we kind of got into the horror aspect arc of this episode, so... I agree. It was nice. And that's kind of the tricks they were using, as we talked about. Sometimes if you're going to have cinema's longest battle, there is battle fatigue. You can't just sit there and watch people clank heads and arms nonstop. So that's why they chose to focus on a few particular characters, and they also kind of just changed completely the flow and the style of how the story was being told in each act. So good on you guys. You are quite the TV scholars. Next up, we got to give her shout out, because she was one of the more standout, just secondary rando characters, and that's Lady Mormont. She went out with a bang. She's one of the smallest fighters, but she took out one of the largest enemies when she takes down a giant by herself. And there couldn't be a more fitting end for the lady from Bear Island.
R.I.P.
Yeah, seriously. Great character. She had standout moments, even though she was supposed to just be relegated to one scene. So we love you, Lady Mormont.
That moment of hearing her chest cavity crack.
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, I was glad she was able to take down a giant. That was
you knew it was coming when he barreled in and knocked her down. I was like, all right, this dude's gonna get it, but it's basically gonna be a kamikaze attack.
Yeah.
She knew what she was doing. That's why I loved her. All right, so our buddy the Hound kind of did what he does all the time when shit gets hot, and that's basically just cower and hide. But luckily, Barrick was there and kind of woke his ass up and got him motivated again. And really what ultimately got the Hound motivated is when Barrick said, yo, dude, if you're going to be a piece of shit, at least be a piece of shit and try to help her out. Literally, as Arya is like flipping out of a window, falling down a roof, being chased by zombies. So this really, it ultimately leads into Barrick's prophecy being fulfilled. The whole reason he kept being brought back to life, as we ultimately find out, was to keep Arya alive. And that's exactly what he did as he gave his life. So the next named character to fall was Lord Beric Dondarrion. Wow. Saving Arya and at least getting her into the next room of safety with the Hound and Melisandre, who kind of pushes and prods her, I guess, to go do what she does here at the end of the episode. So did you guys see the Hound pussing out again? Is that just kind of his MO, or were you like, all right, that's kind of odd? I thought he was over that at this point.
There was a lot of fire.
Yeah, he definitely has issues with it, but it wasn't even.
Yeah,
I know he didn't say it was the fire to Barrick, but he's like, we're losing. Fuck it, let's just die. He's very like, eh.
Well, I think it goes back to, obviously, like you said, Arya was the catalyst for him getting back out there. Part of it, obviously, is because of the relationship they've had, but also, too, a few minutes earlier in the episode, when the Hound was retreating back as the Whites were coming in, there's one closing on his tail, and Arya takes him out with an arrow, and he looks up and realizes that was her that shot him.
Yeah.
So she saved his life once. He's there cowering in the corner, and he realizes, beyond their past relationship, like, oh, that's right, she saved my life already once tonight. I'm gonna do something for her, But yeah, I thought he was past that too. I wasn't gonna expected him to shy away like he did.
Yeah, it was a little odd, but I guess that's why we love the guy.
It made sense.
For the character, it really did.
Yeah.
I guess we shouldn't expected him to have that much growth.
Well, I think the growth comes from the fact that he actually pushes through it this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you look at the what was it, Blackwater Bay,
he just pieces.
He leaves, yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, and even almost when his trial by combat with Barrick, like he is freaked the hell out by Barrick's flaming sword, and like he's kind of sort of gotten used to that, but still is clearly freaked out by that. And then here, I think, yeah, like it only made sense for him to have that moment of, total paralysis. And then for Barrick to be the one that's like, hey, Arya, that, she needs your help. And for
Yeah.
that to be the thing that allows him to push through.
I keep forgetting that those two first met and the Hound essentially cleaved them in half.
Yeah.
Like, you forget that because they've almost become such good traveling buddies that you forget that literally the Hound killed him by chopping his upper torso down the middle.
Yeah.
So awesome. Yay. Yay, Westeros. All right. So next moment here. I mean, I think a lot of people thought we would see Jon and the Night King at least maybe touch swords. Something. But just as it's going to get there, I mean, it was still a cool looking moment. I think it would have been cooler if they at least maybe fought a bit. But no, the Night King did his usual thing, which again, it was a cool moment to see because he does his hand raise. And now all of Jon's northern men and women and whoever was fighting, they rise. This is when we get what everyone was predicting, the crypts start to rise. So I mean, it was a good moment. It was another pivotal moment, but you're like, come on, man. Come on, Jon. Don't just stand there. Run.
Yeah, and you think when he realized what's happening, he kind of picks up the pace a little bit, but he's just not. Whether he's starting to feel the effects of fighting for so long, or the rough landing on the dragon ride that he just had, he just can't get to the Night King in time, and yet. It would have been nice to see them kind of fight it out a little bit. Like you said, Matt, I think that's something that a lot of us were expecting as fans.
Well, I mean, even in the show, it's come out now when they had the table read, everyone was like, "Oh shit, she does it." I mean, no one's, and apparently the writers have known for 3 years, so I'm assuming this is something George told them.
No doubt.
It sounds like. This was from that conversation they had about 3 years ago where he kind of laid out the general outline of the main beats. So, yeah, it was a surprise. And clearly Jon's been the hero many times over at this point. So it was just we were kind of expecting it. And I guess that's why I kind of like the switch. I'm still going to be one of these people like, man, they really were just random, faceless big bads. And it doesn't seem right, especially – based on how much focus was put on the White Walkers and the Night King from season 1 to now, and especially in the book, this, that, and the other thing. I know we don't have a king in the book, right, Nick? Is there a Night King in the book?
Great question. I don't remember.
I don't think there is. I do not think there's a clear king in the book. Either way,
no, because they haven't. Because in the book. They went to Hardhome. Jon did not, but there was no battle at Hardhome like there was in the show.
Right.
Because I believe that's the first time Jon sees the Night King. Correct?
In the show.
Yeah.
Right.
So that because in the book where it's left off is Jon is still dead.
Yeah.
From
I think in the book they're literally just the White Walkers. Like,
mm-hmm. And they're referred to as the others also. But yeah, same thing.
So, I mean, we obviously can talk a little bit more once we get there. That is like the one thing. It was such a surprising kill shot, but then it's like, really, that thread is just fucking snapped out of existence. Literally, it got fucking Thanos. All right, so okay, this scene here pissed me off, where Dany literally almost fucking gets another one of her dragons killed. For in my mind being a dope. Like she saved Jon and then just fucking sits there like, okay, as hordes of zombies are climbing up Drogon and eating his wings and stabbing him and shit. It's like, what are you doing, lady?
Real talk, dude. I thought we were going to end the episode with no dragons left alive.
Yeah, because that's a good point. Because Rhaegal just kind of fucking crash lands. I mean, you think he got so fucked up by his undead brother that he's gone. I mean, we know he's back because they give it away in the teaser for next week. But you're exactly right. I mean, especially when you got that Drogon scene. It's like, she almost got him killed twice because when she was posing after burning the Night King, she's like, what? And he's like, okay, you want me to fucking throw this? I'll throw it. And then she finally turns and barely, Drogon barely misses getting drilled, but it's like, fuck. Don't do that shit to me with the dragons. I mean, you can kill Danny, John, whatever. Don't kill the dragons. That's all I gotta say. Dragons above human life.
And Ghost.
I was gonna say, did Ghost make it back? Because
Yeah,
he
because
was right
he
there.
was in the charge,
Ghost-
by the way.
Which was dumb.
He was in the Dothraki charge, and yeah,
Ghost is at his best when he's protecting people. He should have been with Bran.
right.
Word.
This is
In all
another
honesty.
thing, Nick, where I've
But
seen some
Ghost
fans.
is alive. I'm just gonna throw that out there. He's in the teaser images for next week or whatever. But
Okay, cool.
Got you.
yeah,
But that's another thing. Like, I guess some more hardcore and book readers are all up in arms. Like, what? Dire wolves don't fucking mean anything anymore. Like that you can't see them fucking doing their thing and blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, but we've kind of been talking about this, and we knew it was coming. This is what we get with expedited seasons, my friends. I mean, they've been hitting fast forward since the end of season 6, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just, it's never gonna slow boil like we want, like it used to, and like it is in the books. Just it is what it is. I mean, that's why it sucks so bad that he has not finished the fucking books, because now we have no idea, and the ending of this, A Song of Ice and Fire, has been written by people that didn't create it, and that's gonna be funky. And I think we're seeing some of the funky play out in this episode, especially with the undead. All right, so yeah, we had a nice moment between Tyrion and Sansa. There's some people thinking that they're gonna get together now. I didn't really get that from that moment. Did you guys?
No, I mean, like, no. I think it was a nice tender moment, because I think both, especially Sansa, has really grown as she's grown as a person and kind of come into her own and recognized who Tyrion is, and they do seem to have a genuine affection for one another. But I don't know, man. I have no idea if Sansa makes it through, if she gets married, who it would be to, or if she would pick up with Tyrion. That I don't think option 3.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, I saw it more as just, these are people that have been through some shit together, some really heavy shit, in fact, and they basically thought they're gonna die. So why not have a nice little moment? Kind of clear the air.
I did like the earlier scene where Sansa told Tyrion that he was the best out of her marriages, and his response was, "That's terrifying." Just the way he says it and makes light of the situation reminds me of old Tyrion, which I miss lately. So
now there's some good talks in the crypts, not many. I mean, I liked how Missandei kind of got mixed up when, like, yo, motherfuckers, I mean, you guys would all be dead anyways if it wasn't for my queen, so you better quit talking shit. Who knows? It looks like the North may be bigger fans of Dany next episode, but you never know. I do not think Sansa could care less that they were basically saved. I mean, she's going to be like, hey, my fucking sister saved us. Eat a dick. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, guys. Theon's charge. I mean, Theon kind of going out all together. How did you guys think that went down? Did you appreciate it? Do you feel like he redeemed all of his horrific acts against the Starks in that moment? Or did you think it was just kind of futile?
Could it have happened any other way? That was just like, as I was watching that, I'm like, yeah, this is happening. It's exactly what I expected, and it's kind of what I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much sacrificed himself. I mean, everyone knew it. He knew it. Bran knew it. I mean, he knew he was dead at the Night King's hand, and he at least charged forward and embraced death with open arms.
what is dead may never die.
What is dead may never die.
Yeah, that's right. He has died.
I am with Keith too. I can't think of any other way he should have gone. It was the first time in a long time that he didn't run. He jumped in the water when Euron had Yara, and uh, Theon was never the best at confrontation. He talked a lot, but didn't back it up very often. So now that he had a chance to finally prove himself, and he had uh, kind words from Bran to go out on, you knew it wasn't gonna end well. You knew um, Theon was gonna die, and the fact that it was just a quick sidestep, snap of the spear, and stuck in the gut. Um, it was expected, but still felt right either way. And it bought a couple extra seconds, an extra minute for other things to kind of fall in place the way they did.
Yeah, because isn't it when he's laying on the ground that the White Walkers feel or they react to some sort of wisp in the wind? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, so that was the Night King had started and was right next to Bran and was starting to reach for his sword. And then you're right. The one White Walker
Okay,
has
so
has
it's
his
not.
hair kind of whipped a little bit. And then next we see Arya making her lunge.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just get right to it. Arya did it. Enough said. I mean, who would have thought that Arya? I mean, obviously well equipped, got the skills, and I mean, they even kind of foreshadowed it when she had a reunion with Jon in the Godswood, where she literally just fucking appeared out of nowhere behind him, and she pretty much does the same exact thing in the same exact spot to the Night King in this episode. And right when it looks like he got her, he's gonna choke her out, she drops that Valyrian steel dagger, the dagger that kind of started a lot of this shit. I mean, the War of the Five Kings, this, that, and the other thing, you could argue. She drops it, catches it, and jabs the Night King right in the same spot where the children jabbed him to create him. So it was nuts. I mean, when that happened, it was kind of one of those jaw-dropping things because I did not see it coming at all. And as I was sitting there with my wife going like, how the hell are they going to get over this? You're seeing zombies pouring over the ramparts. It's just like, there's no way they get out of this unless someone literally Thanos snaps. I mean, that they were at that moment. That's how dire things were. And lo and behold, we get essentially the Game of Thrones version of the Thanos snap when Arya leaps, gets caught, drops, and stabs. And there you go, poof, it's over. So I don't know, guys. I mean, Nick, I know you're into the lore. You've read the books. Are you okay with just, hey, here we go, the Night King, all that? Really, it's just gone. It is what it
Um,
is. Take it at face value. Move on.
I I and this is something that I've seen other writers and people around the internet talk about with the show specifically is it hasn't fully embraced the fantasy and magical aspect of what we read in the books. We never explore how Bran's powers work. We never explore anything beyond the Night King except that, oh, he's just out for death and that's it. I don't think that's there's more to it, is what I'm saying. There's more of a connection between the Night King and Bran that didn't get fully explored.
All
The
right.
fact that the Night King is after Bran just because he wants to erase history, basically, or Bran's memory. I mean, I wish they just would have explored that a little bit more, which I'm sure the books would if they were ever written.
I mean, that's kind of where I was at. It's just like I can accept it and move on. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pout like some people would be like, oh, he should have been a Targaryen or he should have sat on that. I was like, I never got any of that. But like you, I am with you. I mean, there's a lot of magical lore baked into this franchise that has, I mean, only minimal amounts have crossed over to the show.
Hmm.
And that's why I feel shortchanged as someone that's read the books now. And this is, I'm not blaming the show, I'm blaming George. But it's like we've kind of been robbed of that at this point. I mean, yes, we'll eventually get it if he doesn't die and the books actually come out. But I felt like there was more to it. Like you said, more at the brand thing. All this centuries long conflict between the forces of good and evil. I mean, shit, it's called A Song of Ice and Fire. I mean, what does that even mean anymore? Is it literally just Jon was a Targaryen born in the north? Dany is a traditional Targaryen. They're the Ice and Fire. It's like, okay, and now it's just over. So Keith, your take on it? I mean, I'm assuming at this point you probably didn't give a fuck, and you're like, whatever, just let's get to episode 4.
No. So I am of two minds about this. The pro wrestling nerd in me loves what they call in the business a swerve. They twisted our expectations.
Yeah.
And we're like, you bunch of smarks, you people who are, like us. You think you know where it's gonna go, but fuck you. You think John's gonna be the one that saves the day? You think John's the important one? Nah, man, the Night King's gonna die by a stroke of fucking dumb luck. Like, if it really had to be that single spot with that one single dagger, that's what it took to kill the Night King. Like, yeah, Arya's a badass. How is she gonna know that? And how is she gonna manage to stick it there? Like, that's dumb fucking luck.
Yeah.
Especially if she's jumping from behind. If he doesn't turn, she goes for the back or the neck or the head.
And I'm telling you, I mean, I've watched it twice. I could still be hearing it wrong, but I'm pretty sure inside the episode, DB specifically mentions that she had to nail him right in that spot. And that's my beef is like, okay, well, why wasn't that explained to us?
Yeah.
Like, that's the type of lore that I feel like was missing. I mean, just little shit like that.
I guess there's always the cop out of, Bran told her because he saw the vision.
Of
he
course,
saw where the dragon glass went in.
Completely.
But, that we didn't see that.
Yeah,
so.
in world they can write all this away, but as the audience, and guys, we're people that probably pay more attention than most to this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of us have read the books, some of us research this shit, read our articles as if it's real life, and I had no idea that that's what needed to be done. But I'm telling you, the guys that created it made a point to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen that. They can just write it away. Hey, yeah, they talked and it was off camera.
Yeah.
Off camera.
I will say this, going back to what Keith was talking about with the swerve. I thought for sure John was going to be the one to do it just because of how many times
I love the swerve.
They've made eye contact with each other.
He's looked into the Night King's eyes.
Yeah. I love that it was Arya, and when he turned and caught her, I immediately thought, oh no, she's going to die. Like, I thought that was it.
Me too.
And then obviously she drops the knife, does the stab, just like she did with Brienne in the training yard, which I'm sure you guys have seen videos of. And I jumped out of my couch and cheered as loudly as I did when the Eagles won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. That's like the fact when you see him shatter and
it's over.
This is it.
It's over.
Then it was like the biggest sigh of relief. As a show watcher.
No, I'm with you, dude. I thought, and I love that Keith is bringing in wrestling terminology. The swerve was fantastic.
Yeah,
that was great. It's just it's the aftermath where you're sitting there going like, wait, that whole big thing is literally just done, and they were ultimately nothing but generic, just big bad monsters.
Yeah,
that's what's a little concerning for me too. Is we spent literally the cold open of episode 1,
yes,
fearing these Nightwalkers for 7.5 seasons, and that's how they ended. I mean that's kind of I guess a disappointing factor for me in regards to that.
That's my biggest
not
beef
that they
with
did
the
it, just
episode.
how they did it right now instead of the end of the series.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about, we didn't know how they were going to resolve all the conflict, and we got it. And I don't know. I do feel a little shortchanged on the whole Night King, White Walker, White Army plot point, because it was more than a plot point. I mean, it was a fundamental core narrative, as Nick said, that, I mean, it opened the series.
Yeah. And I mean, we lose the sort of, and this is something that I had kind of mentioned in the email thread. We lose the climate change allegory of the White Walkers, of being, the big bad coming down to kill everybody while we all squabble around with our petty bullshit. And now it just turns out that was just the boogeyman.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. And maybe George goes that way too, but I just, from the reading, a lot of that lore was being built up. I mean, a lot of that stuff, as Nick said, a lot more about the Raven and how the powers work and what they call them, the Green Seers and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, damn it, George. And this is the stuff I was worried about. And it's being fully realized now and will continue to be because, we still have 3 episodes to go. So, I mean, like I said, I felt super tense. When that happened, I loved the switch up to Arya, but then I was just left here kind of going, wow, it kind of feels cheap. Like, it's cheap that they literally just wrapped that up so cleanly, and here we go. We're on to the final war, and I feel like now, like, just who cares about marching armies down? Just take the 2 dragons and torch them. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have some of those deadly mega crossbows. All right, send some ninja scouts in there to take those out, and then we win.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like in any other show, having a character like Cersei as the big ultimate bad, like she's perfect as the big bad. But then we had the Night King, like, always lurking behind her. And I don't know, maybe this was a double swerve to to be like, yeah, you thought the Zombie Lord was the actual big bad, but no, the worst possible thing that could happen to humanity is humanity itself.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point, and that's, very English teaching of you. I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, she's evil, conniving, scheming, this, that, and the other thing. Like I said, yeah, they do have. We know those crossbows can kill a dragon if you hit them right in the head. Apparently, at this point, it's like, what real threat does Dany and the dragons face now? I don't see any unless Qyburn has cooked something up crazy. But I mean, she could definitely mow through those 20,000 golden companies a lot easier than just using her ground forces. So I don't know. I like the Night King. I like that looming threat, but it's gone, people. It is gone. But we're not done with our top moments yet. Just a few quick ones here. Obviously, probably the biggest name death of the episode was Jorah, who died doing exactly what he probably wanted to be doing when he died, or envisioned his death. And that was protecting Dany because she was stupid and parked her dragon for too long and fell off and got separated. And, she got a little action going on there. Amelia was flexing her skills with her dragon glass. But ultimately, she needed to use Jorah essentially as a human shield. And he died by her side. And it was a nice touching moment when Drogon comes back after being nearly eaten alive. He's like, "Oh, Mom, I'm sorry for leaving you. I'll cover you up now." So rest in peace, Jorah.
She did not wield a sword very well at all.
Yeah,
she needs more training.
Stab, like she had the 2-handed stab motion down. Like
yeah,
spear thrust, like stab.
Yeah, I think you're right though with Jorah. I mean, there's no other way for him to go out than protecting the woman he loves and has served and has been in the friend zone for all these seasons now. So
yeah,
that's it was sad, but yeah, one of the ones I think we all expected to die at the end here.
The deaths weren't as gruesome as I thought. I mean, I thought they'd really like go out hardcore, like almost Braveheart style, where you're watching the hero essentially get deballed and degutted.
Yeah, and it seems as far as the whites and the white the undead army go, it was just a lot of clawing and biting, right? There wasn't they didn't have a lot of weapons on their side. It was just a lot of bones and teeth.
Yeah, they did. They're kind of like a wave of death. They don't really stand and fight. They just kind of roll over.
That was like a tidal wave.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I could see that, Keith. I don't know if you.
Okay. All right.
Just imagine a tidal wave of bones coming over the Unsullied.
Yeah. There you go. Speaking of lucky, man, fucking Grey Worm took on at least 2 or 3 forward charges and lived.
Yeah, for real.
I mean,
And what I thought was interesting too, and we saw fear in him for the first time.
Yeah.
oh yeah. When
Which
that
was-
trench wasn't getting lit up.
Yeah, yeah. You hear his heavy breathing against his helmet. He's kind of looking. Should he go back out there to the front lines? Should he retreat back into Winterfell? But yeah, I certainly did not expect him to make it out alive.
All right, and then the last moment here, it was just kind of odd. I mean, I guess it made sense. Her mission, I'm assuming, was over, but I mean, Melisandre essentially commits suicide. She walks out into the cold, drops her amulet, which gives her her powers, and due to just the sheer age of her body, and she just collapses and essentially turns into dust.
Okay. So she does like actually that did happen.
I believe so. Like,
Okay, that's what it looked like, and I was
it's like her
just
body
like,
just breaks down, just
Yeah.
kind of withers because it was 400 or 500 years old or something.
yeah. Okay.
But I mean, you would feel like at the end, John and Davos would be like, hey, you know what? I know we said we'd kill you on sight, but you did kind of really fucking help, so let's just all be friends and we can maybe use you to go kill more people.
I mean, I think you're kind of it's kind of like what you had said earlier about Barrick's purpose being fulfilled.
Just serve. That's how the Lord of Light
yeah.
works. Like, once you're just a tool, once you're used, you're done.
Well, yeah, and she had kept saying over and over again, like, I have to die in this strange land. I have to come back.
right.
I've seen flames over Winterfell. Like that's the vision that she saw in the fire was, this past episode. And I think it was just a matter of like, okay, now she finally got done what needed getting done and was able to just poof.
Yeah.
I mean, the battery in her necklace died, so
That was it. She knew they were running low. She kept getting the notice on her Apple Watch. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, that kind of wraps the discussion here. It was definitely, I do not think any of us took it or viewed it, interpreted this episode as the episode we thought it would be. Take that for what you will. I'd say Keith probably was the least satisfied with it, mostly because of couldn't see shit, and I feel him on that. I love the intensity of the episode, but I also had issues again with the visuals and just the scrubbing away of the whole Night King thread. And then Nick, he's just a fanboy like me, and he can't do anything wrong in Game of Thrones, just like nothing's wrong in Star Wars outside the prequels. So, but no, in all seriousness, guys, it was kind of a shocker on ways I don't think we expected it to be a shocker. And that's Game of Thrones for you, though. That's kind of what this series does.
Yeah, and it just makes me wonder, what are we going to get in the next 3 episodes?
Yeah.
I feel like it now just has to be something crazy. It can't just be a straight up battle and, all right, you win, here we go.
That is the one thing
Yeah.
that has me most excited. Is like now I have no idea what the fuck's gonna happen.
Yeah, that is true. So I mean, you can make this point. I mean, I do think this episode will go down as being one of the more divisive episodes in the Game of Thrones fandom. That's why I'm calling it the TLJ of Game of Thrones, and I'm sticking with it. But hopefully you've enjoyed us ranting and raving and bitching about it, and at times praising the episode. I mean, in the end, it was still better than watching something else. America's Funniest Home Videos. I don't know what's on Sunday nights anymore, but I'm sure that show's still going on Sunday. But hey, we made it through. A lot of the heroes made it through, which means there's still time for them to die. So yes, you're still going to have to be on edge and leave your heart hanging out there for 3 more episodes. Until next time, people, what do we say to the god of death? Not today.